Now we shall discuss about the democratic politics. Now in the previous year, in the democratic politics 1 book, we have dealt about the democracy. How is a democracy established? What are the factors that led towards the establishment of democracy? Now when we talk about democracy, as you all know, the famous definition of democracy is the government or the framing of the government is done according to the wish of the people to lead or to look after the needs of the people, and finally it can be changed by the people or formed by the people. So as Abraham Lincoln has clearly defined it, to the people, of the people, by the people is the actual framing of democracy in the modern days. Now in the previous book, that is in grade 9, we have clearly studied about the factors, the establishments of democracy, and let us call that a tour towards democracy. Now we shall understand how is a democracy working actually in reality. We all know that democracy is the sharing of power between the 3 major organs, that is the legislative, the next is the executive, and while the third one is the judiciary. Now the intelligent sharing of power between the legislative, executive and judiciary, and none of the above 3 organs will have the same or more power access when compared to the other organs. So it is a very clever and an intelligent sharing between the legislative, the executive and the judiciary, and finally branded or elected by the people. Let us understand this one like legislative is the number of people's representatives representing this one. From there we get the government forming the union government as well as the state governments, and then we have the integrated independent judiciary, which is head by the Supreme Court, or the apex court is Supreme Court. So in case if the legislature is not having the confidence of the people, obviously legislator have to resign from there or move away from the office. When there is no power in the people's confidence here in the legislative, obviously the executive, means the government which is holding the power, has to resign immediately. So the final say of any actions which are taken by the government are governed or judged by the people. In case if any of the laws which are framed and drafted by the legislature and which is going to be executed by the executive, which is not in the interest of the people, which will be questioned by the judiciary through the special powers called judicial review. So this framework has established democracy to be the best form of government in the modern days of the 20th and the 21st century. That is the reason why the people, those who are not interested in democracy, also started to slowly merge or march towards the democratic setup. We have observed in various nations that they have moved towards the democratic setup from the later half of the 19th century to the early part of the 20th century and the early years of the 21st century. Still it is going on. Nearly more than 120 nations in the world are now following the democratic system of governments. Now in this unit, we call the name of the unit as power sharing. So when we call about power sharing, we are not actually dealing with the concept of the legislative powers, the executive powers or the judiciary powers. Here we are dealing with the powers shared between the people according to certain examples. So in our next step towards the learning of democracy, here we are heading towards the power sharing concept at various scenarios, various situations experienced or extended by the people according to the situations, what was actually happening that time, how can we interpret that actions towards the developments of democratic setup in that particular nation. We shall understand this one with two examples in regards to Belgium and in regards to Sri Lanka. What happened in Belgium? What happened in Sri Lanka? What is the actual problem there? That we shall analyze now.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.